All right, to follow up on last week's video, we first talked about hands based on your responses to my Instagram question in terms of what are the hardest things to draw. And as I go through this, kind of looking at other options, this is a screen recording, and I'm just gonna sort of take them randomly for the most part. Will Smith, okay, dude. You know, angled faces is a common one, 3/4 view, drawing poses of characters, different angles. Maybe we'll get to that. But another thing that I see very commonly is environments and backgrounds, whether it's for characters, portraits, or actual concepts for designing concept art or something. So here are some tips to help you make your environments and background drawing and painting easier. Tips for environments and backgrounds. The first thing that I'll share, this is probably the easiest one to do, because if you can already draw characters, if you already have a subject, one way to quickly do a background is to alternate values. Here's what I mean. Let's start by sketching out a character real quick. Okay, now we have our sketch, and I went ahead and used the lasso tool to fill out the silhouette of that character. It's not super accurate. We're just trying to convey the concept here. You can do this in many ways. Top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side, doesn't matter. As long as you're alternating values. And here's what that means. For this character, if we lock the transparency of this gray part, we can decide that one part of it is going to be darker than the other. So you transition from dark to light one way or the other. So we can go ahead and grab this and use an airbrush or solids, it doesn't matter. Well, actually, let's use solids for this. It'll convey the idea much better. All right, so now we've established some kind of lighting where there's lighting hitting the top side and not the bottom. Now, the mistake here would be to, for the background, do the same thing, where you have that same shadow, do this. Now, that can work, and you can certainly cast a shadow and have a cool composition like that, but try this instead. Wherever character is in light, for that part to pop out, we're gonna make it dark behind her, alternating the values, and same thing with the bottom part. So if all we do is just this, notice how effectively that contrast really pushes that. And then we can go from here and then make it less obvious. You can use the airbrush, erase out, and go up like that. And now when you zoom out, has this optical illusion of this kind of really beautiful effect. And from there, you at least have some values to work with. Now, certainly this isn't an explanation of how, like what to put in the background. That'll come in a moment. But let's try this in the opposite way. What if we made the top side be in shadow? Which again, still works as is, because you can take that silhouette and move it back as a cast shadow. That's perfectly fine as a thing, but something to try, as I said, is to alternate. So let's get rid of this, new layer, and now make that the thing that pops out. It's like magic. And then once you have those very basic groups established, then you can go in and subdivide all the subtleties of the actual shadows being cast in here and all that. But it's so much easier to establish the big macro than micro. And taking that same idea a little bit further, what you can do is anything down here, you just make it way brighter to really pop out, like the shimmer on the axe there, or maybe some golden armor shining right there, or look like maybe shimmering water, or maybe she's stepping into some kind of river or creek. Cool. Next tip, and sorry, but this one is going to be learn perspective. You have to do it. 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective. 1 point is pretty simple. And I don't need to teach it to you. There's a million videos on each one of these things. I'm shocked that it's still something being asked about. And I understand people want to hear my take on perspective because, you know, I'm pretty straightforward with things. And that might be a full lesson or course later on. But learn 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective. 1 point perspective, things are going to look pretty simple. 2 point perspective, you'll get a little bit more dimension and information of things feeling like they're 3D. 3 point perspective, you can start playing with FOV more effectively and making things look really dynamic and immersive. A lot of splash art kind of takes advantage of this. No demo for that one. Moving on. Number 3.
Will Smith.
And this is so important if you want to be a concept designer or just have illustrations that have appeal no matter what you want to do. And that's libraries of reference. So for me, this is my sci-fi folder. And I think I showed this before in one of my Reference Wednesday videos, which by the way, definitely check out my videos on Wednesday. I'm always where I take a reference pack and I'm drawing things from reference, whether it's characters or figures, environments, what have you. Anyway, so have libraries, and I have a sci-fi one, fantasy, casual, forests, water, because you shouldn't feel like you have to make everything up. If I have a reference library like this, all I have to do is open this up, grab whatever one I'm looking for, or maybe just a random one, and make that the inspiration for the background of my drawing. So here's the one for fantasy. Look for images that really are appealing to you. For this, I could totally see that becoming a Magic the Gathering card with the mist and the color and a bit of rainbow in there. Just find whatever really catches your eye. It makes you feel immersed in the piece. Like each image has something to offer. In this case, it's like pulling us in, almost beckoning us to climb up these stair steps. And in this folder, I also have beautiful paintings by artists that are just amazing. I believe this is Max. I never know how to say the last name. And, you know, even things that aren't necessarily environments. Like the reason I saved this in this folder is because, well, the creative part of me is like, well, yeah, that's a sculpt, but what if we change the scale of it entirely as an idea and made a person really small next to this, and suddenly it becomes an environment. All right, so libraries for reference. Number 4, study the masters. Humans have existed for a long time, and they've gotten really good at things. Might as well learn from what they've done. For example, we have Bierstadt. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but if you look this up, absolutely wondrous paintings. Spend a good week, month, 2 months, a year just going in and like seeing how the values are treated, the lighting, the content, clouds, mountain. Where are the sharp points? What points are losing focus? Where are the lost edges? Even circle the parts that are actual focal points. Like, because obviously not absolutely everything is being showcased as obviously as this kind of spot being lit. So that's Bierstadt. Very simplistic, very controlled values, focal points. The statement being made here is, look at that lighthouse. That's where all the detail is and the sharpness. It's not like over here in the bottom left, he's over rendering it. Why would he? It's over here. And even that shadow is hitting right next to that brightness to really bring contrast there. Look for these things. And if not look for them, do the studies and discover them. And then take note like, oh, that was a thing in this painting. Let's see if I can do that in my own work. Ah, beautiful. I kind of want to study these right now. Anyway, that was number 4. And number 5, treat the space that you're trying to paint or design as a stage. Now, this might not be as important for illustration backgrounds where it's just kind of background information, but if you're doing a concept design or concept painting, think of it as a stage. All right, so you have your stage, and if you're going to a theater show, it's pretty rare that if you go to the Metropolitan Grand Opera or something where it's just the actors on the stage with a light on them. It happens, of course. Even with a high school play, you're going to have props, you're going to have lighting, and treating it like it's a full production. On a stage, well, we have our actors. We'll just make them as red stick figures. That's if you have characters in your scene. You have big props, so you might have a big tree. Trees aren't blue, you know, a big tree. Maybe you'll have a sunshine, or a moon. Maybe you'll have clouds. You could even plan out your painting by doing a stick figure version of what you plan on doing. And maybe there's going to be mountains in the background or looking into the distance of an alleyway. Doesn't matter. So there's the big props, but then you have the smaller props. And think of this in stages. Big, macro, to small, micro. Smaller props being, if this is a typical fantasy scene, you might see barrels or wagons, or even medium-sized rocks. And even for the big props, you could have a big rock, right? So big objects, medium objects, and let's go to the smallest objects. This is important to really sell the detail of your scene, of your stage. And that's going to be little rocks here. I don't know why they're orange, it's fine. You're going to have little grass petals, flowers, maybe a scroll. You are the storyteller. You have to figure out what goes in the scene, and the best way to do that, obviously, is to do the research and reference and build it together. The mistake would be to open up a brand new canvas and just start painting and hoping that this stuff resolves itself, which happens. You can do that with other techniques like photo bashing and all that, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can also build it from scratch like this as a production designer. If you could just do a stick figure plan of what you want to paint for your environment, it'll take you a long way. All right, obviously there's way more to environments and backgrounds than that, but that is just the first 5 tips that came to mind from my experience as a concept artist as well as a teacher at various places. All right, cool. Thanks for watching.
Plug your course.
What do I say?
Plug it. It's coming out soon.
And don't forget, I'm very close to being done with my course, and it's going to be so fun. I have all these fun little secrets that I just can't tell you about. You're going to have to find out in the course. Learning how to paint, brush economy, color palettes, composition, how to draw and paint the face, the skull. Oh, so much stuff. So much. Be ready. Be ready. Anyway, thanks for watching. What do I say for the like button? What should I say?
Do you normally say something?
No, but I want to because it does help the... Actually, just leave this part in.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Hit the like button. Bye.